The parking lot of Sullivan's grocery store in the small town of Fairview, Indiana, was quiet on a crisp autumn afternoon. The smell of baked goods from the in-store bakery wafted through the air, mingling with the earthy scent of fallen leaves. It was the kind of place where life moved slowly, and everybody knew everybody, or so it seemed. James Riley, a man in his late 30s, rolled his manual wheelchair out of his van and onto the cracked asphalt. He adjusted the sleeves of his navy blue sweatshirt, the logo of the local high school where he coached basketball emblazoned on the chest. His wheelchair moved smoothly over the pavement as he made his way toward the store entrance, his dark eyes scanning the aisles visible through the large glass windows. Today's errand was simple: grab groceries for the week and head home. Unbeknownst to James, a group of young men had just pulled up in a rusted pickup truck on the far end of the parking lot. The group of four had an air of mischief about them, their loud laughter and rowdy behavior drawing the attention of an elderly couple nearby. One of the men, wearing a sleeveless flannel shirt and a backward cap, elbowed his friend and pointed at James. "Hey, check it out," he said, his voice dripping with mockery. "Wheelin' wonder over here." The others burst into laughter. Another, a lanky man with a jagged scar across his cheek, smirked. "Bet he thinks he's hot stuff, just rolling along like that." James heard the jeering but didn't react. He had dealt with people like them before. Keeping his focus on the grocery store's automatic doors, he pushed forward with quiet determination. "Hey, Wheels!" one of them shouted, louder this time. James sighed but didn't turn around. Ignoring bullies was often the best course of action, but they weren't about to let him go that easily. The group sauntered toward him, their footsteps crunching on the gravel. They encircled him, their laughter growing louder as they closed in. James stopped his wheelchair, his eyes narrowing slightly. Though he remained calm, the tension in his shoulders was evident. "Where you headed, man?" the leader, the one with the backward cap, asked, leaning in close. "Store's not wheelchair-friendly today." The lanky man with the scar stepped forward, feigning curiosity. "What's the rush? Got a hot date waiting on you?" James didn't flinch. "I don't want any trouble," he replied, his voice steady but firm. "Trouble?" the leader repeated with a mocking laugh. "We're just talking, Wheels. Relax." Despite their words, their posture and tone were anything but friendly. James subtly glanced around the parking lot. A few people were watching from a distance, their expressions a mix of concern and hesitation. No one seemed willing to step in. James reached into the pocket of his sweatshirt and pulled out his phone. The motion made the group pause, their laughter faltering. "What, you gonna call for backup?" one of them sneered. James didn't answer. He dialed a number, spoke softly into the phone, then put it away without a word. "Who'd you call?" the leader demanded, stepping closer. "You think someone's gonna save you?" James didn't reply. Instead, he wheeled a few feet back, positioning himself near a light pole as if settling in for a wait. His calm demeanor unnerved the group, though they tried to hide it with more bravado. Minutes ticked by, the silence stretching uncomfortably. The group shifted on their feet, their earlier confidence starting to waver. Then, the sound of distant engines broke the quiet. At first, it was faint, just a low rumble, but it grew louder and more distinct with every second. The young men turned their heads toward the main road, their faces shifting from curiosity to apprehension as a convoy of vehicles came into view. It wasn't motorcycles this time, but a fleet of SUVs and trucks, their sleek, polished frames glinting in the sunlight. The vehicles moved in formation, their presence commanding attention. As they pulled into the parking lot, it became clear they weren't just passing through. The convoy stopped, and the doors opened in unison. Men and women stepped out, each one wearing a navy blue jacket embroidered with the words Fairview Community Watch. These were James' people, his team, his friends, and his neighbors. They moved with purpose, their eyes locking onto the group surrounding James. The leader of the Community Watch, a stout man named Carl with a salt and pepper beard, strode forward. His gaze swept over the scene, landing on James first. "You good, coach?" he asked, his voice calm but authoritative. James nodded. "I'm fine, Carl. Just a little misunderstanding." Carl's eyes narrowed as he turned his attention to the group of young men. "Misunderstanding, huh?" he said, his tone cold. Looks like harassment to me. The group of four suddenly looked a lot smaller. The leader stammered, "We were just joking around. Didn't mean nothing by it." Carl took a step closer, his presence intimidating despite his shorter stature. Joking around? Funny. It didn't sound like a joke. The community watch members fanned out, forming a loose circle that mirrored the one the young men had made around James. The leader of the group swallowed hard, his earlier bravado crumbling under the weight of so many watchful eyes. "Here's the deal," Carl said, his voice low but firm. "You're going to apologize to James. Right now. Then you're going to leave. And if we hear about you pulling this kind of stunt again, you'll be dealing with more than just words. Got it?" The leader hesitated, but quickly nodded. Yeah, we got it." The apologies came quickly, though they were mumbled and lacked sincerity. Still, James accepted them with a curt nod. "Learn from this," he said simply. The young men didn't need to be told twice. They scurried back to their truck, started the engine, and sped off without looking back. As the parking lot grew quiet once more, Carl turned to James. "You sure you're okay?" James smiled faintly. "Yeah, thanks for showing up." Carl clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Always. You're not alone, coach." As the community watch members began to disperse, James rolled toward the store entrance. His movements were steady, unhurried. He had stood his ground, not with aggression but with quiet strength, and in doing so, he had reminded everyone watching that respect and community were far more powerful than fear or intimidation.